to the Business of Data monthly Leading Female Executive LinkedIn Live. Welcome to you all to a very special edition. I can see the chat going wild already. Welcome to you, Jim, Abigail, Susan, Mel. Lovely to see you joining us. Thank you very much for being here. Now, for those of you who perhaps this is your first time, each month I meet with some brilliant female executives from the data and analytics space to chat about the biggest challenges and opportunities we face today. We've covered it all. We've talked about AI, cloud, data strategy, and all. But when it comes to March, it's a very special month, as we all know, celebrating women's history and especially International Women's Day, which is tomorrow. But we thought we'd get ahead of the game and start celebrating today. Now, this session is live, so please do send in your questions as and when you think of them, or even your own thoughts and comments as well. Welcome to you, Matthew, joining us as well live today. So today we are talking all about International Women's Day. We do tend to stick to more topical subjects such as AI and cloud, as I mentioned before, but given the occasion of March, we do delve into what it is like to be a woman in data and analytics. And to do just that, we have a wonderful panel, as always, who I will welcome to the virtual stage now. Welcome to each of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Great to have you as always. It's half an hour. We're going to be realistic in what we can cover in half an hour. Let's be honest, we could do this all week and we still wouldn't cover the breadth and depth of this topic. So what I would like us each to do is if you can offer a quick intro, but answer the first question, which I get asked at probably a daily rate, if not certainly a weekly rate, which is, how can we practically elevate amazing female members of our team? And I get asked this by all sorts of leaders. It's not just our male companions who ask this to me. So Nirali, welcome to the stage. You can give us a quick intro and then your thoughts on how we can practically elevate amazing female members.
Well, thanks, Catherine, and I'm really honoured to be here, especially this week when it's International Women's Day tomorrow. So I'm Nirali Patel, I'm the Director of Data Analytics and Insight here at OpenReach. And how can you practically elevate talented females? And for me, it's all about sponsorship and getting them up and exposing them to situations that they may not be comfortable exposing themselves to, but in a nice and supported manner. So that's my top tip for the evening.
I love that. I always love the idea of around comfort zones, and I think that's a really interesting one, and kind of encouraging people out of them. Always a good one. Thank you, Nirali. Harleen, lovely to see you. If you could offer a quick intro and then your thoughts on that question.
Hi, thank you. I'm Harleen Teffy from BBC Global News. For me, I completely agree with Nirali that sponsorship through both formal and informal methods is absolutely essential. And I genuinely think that women need to elevate and support other women. It's easy to say that you're an advocate for progression, but actually driving that shift and acknowledging other women's achievements is really important, particularly for females in senior leadership roles.
Absolutely love that. Thank you, Harleen. Joanne, great to see you as always. Over to you.
So, hi, I'm Joanne Stonier. I'm the Chief Data Officer for Mastercard. And I think one of the things that we can do to elevate the women on our teams is to really give them the right assignments, give them the opportunity to take on the hard topics, as well as to lead teams and be exposed to the senior leadership in the organization, as well as in external events, have them speak, make them the expert on different topics, and push them to be really viewed as the leaders that many of them truly are.
I love that, and I'm a big believer, Joanne, as I know you are. Whereas it's not do as I say; it's do as I do. And by you each participating in these sorts of activities month on month, it really does encourage other people to do that as well. And it shows that I'm allowed to have time and take up this space and do this sort of activity as well, which is a really positive thing. So thank you, Joanne. Mina, great to see you. What's your take on this?
Hi, I'm Minna Kärhä. I am the data strategy lead at Solita. And I completely agree with the previous ladies. Maybe I would like to then emphasize also that it's important to show genuine curiosity towards the women's or individuals' experience and competencies. So really show that you are curious and want to learn and elevate that. And then also giving space to be heard, that when one feels truly heard, it really builds up the confidence significantly.
I love that. Just to pull that thread there, Mina, I love the idea of being truly heard, and that I know we've discussed it in the past when it comes to data analytics and feedback and understanding there's a difference between collecting that data and then using it. And same sort of situation here, isn't it? Where it's a case of being heard, but then really being being heard and understood. Thank you, Mina. Maritza, great to see you as always. What's your take on helpful things to elevate female members of your team?
Hello everyone, I'm Maritza Curry. I am the Head of Data for BNP Paribas Personal Finance South Africa, or RCS Group as we are also known here in South Africa. And my goodness, I can't agree more with everything the other panelists have said. And the only thing I want to add is that if you are a male leader and you have women in your team that you want to uplift, then steer clear of trying to protect them. So support them, but don't try to protect them. Stretch them. If there's a problem, if they've made a mistake, give them the opportunity to tackle that mistake and solve it themselves. Because, there's nothing worse for a woman in data or in a technical role to not be able to, or not be given that opportunity to solve a problem when you've made a mistake. So please support, but don't protect.
Oh, I really like that, Maritza. Thank you so much. And then joining us just up on stage now is Ishita. Ishita, welcome. So glad you were able to join us today. This first question, what I'd love for you to do is just a quick intro to yourself, but then also advice to other leaders of how to elevate female members of their team.
Thank you, Catherine. Hi, everybody. This is Ishita Majumdar. I am the VP of Data Analytics Platform at eBay. And it's an honor to be among you on a eve of International Women's Day and March being the Women's History Month. This is a very special event for me, at least. And I can't agree more with all my panelists and co-panelists on this forum. My additional ask would be give opportunities for bigger, impactful projects, give opportunities for women to be visible in front of senior management, in front of bigger forums, so that they have a voice. Everyone knows who they are. They are leading from the front, not from behind. Mentor them to lean in. But I feel most of the time when it comes to, hey, there's a board presentation, or hey, there's a executive level team presentation, women are a second thought. And I'm saying, make them visible, make them at the forefront, and coach them if necessary, but give them that opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ishita. Yes, so a wide range of ideas there to elevate female members of your team. And we've heard there about different opportunities, whether that be internal or external. And I'm going to take the moment to do a little plug right now, saying that the Business of Data and Career welcomes everyone of every background to our events, to our content. So if you're listening to this and you feel inspired to get involved, then please do pop me a message out, and my team, you'll see them in the comments as well. We'd love to have you follow in the footsteps of these wonderful panelists that you see before you today, who at some stage or other received an email from us, or maybe even reached out themselves and said, do you want to get involved? And this is where we are today. So please do that. Now, on these sessions, I always like to use the fact that we have this frequent discussion. Everyone, I feel like we feel at ease on these panel discussions. So I like to keep it quite real. And the second question I'd like to ask you all is, what have been the most helpful experiences that you've personally had in your own journey that have formed and helped you become the leaders that you are today? And helpful is up to your interpretation. If you want that to be helpful, as in showing you how maybe not to do something, or taking something and running with it and being inspired. But what have been the most helpful experiences that you've had in your journey in the data analytics space to be where we are today? Maritza, I'll come to you first for that one, if you don't mind.
So I think in terms of my personal leadership journey, there's been two things that's been very helpful. One is wonderful, authentic examples of great leadership. but also examples of bad leadership. Because sometimes you learn from people how not to do something. And I think with leadership, we experience leadership as an emotion. And great leaders, even if they have a developmental discussion with you, you can still feel great about that discussion simply because of the way that they approached it. But the advice I would give to people who are on their own leadership journey is remember the feelings or the emotions you experienced when you were in situations with people who were not great leaders. Remember those emotions and remember how that felt so that you can learn from it and that you can be a better leader so that you don't make other people feel that way. So learn from great leaders as well as leaders who maybe are not so great.
Thank you, Maritza. Yeah, take the lessons from the good and the bad. What a wonderful thing to have learned during your experiences, for sure. Mina, how about yourself? What's been the most helpful experiences that you've had along your journey so far?
I think for me it goes down to being empowered and kind of building that confidence, and that has come from those leaders and peers and colleagues who have actually said to me that given the gratitude when I deserve it. So kind of saying that you can do this, you have done this very well, and kind of showed that they respect my expertise. That has boosted the confidence in a way that then I have had the courage to take the next step and maybe try out something new, because I know that it's if I fail, then at least it's not the end of the world. And I think that is very important to find those and use those messages that you get from others and kind of boost the energy and boost the confidence within you, and then use that as a kind of fuel to take the next steps.
I love that. And it does tend to be, I don't know whether you all agree, you know, it tends to be the leaders that don't realize they're having the impact they are having on you, because it'd be small little remarks of, you know, you really nailed that presentation, or I really loved how you did. And it doesn't have to be something giant. It doesn't have to be kind of an end of year big toast at a dinner. It's those small interactions that you have along your days and week that really, really boost you.
Yes.
Yeah. Joanne, how about yourself?
So I think that, you know, leadership journeys, right, have so many moments, right, where you know that you've done a good job or you get bolstered. And I think many times it comes down to having that sponsorship in an organization. We talk a lot about being mentored, but I think it's really, you know, you've had the support of the organization when you have those around you that are sponsoring your work, right? Especially in many cases, data work is not always widely understood. We've talked about that in other discussions. And so how can you get others to understand the value of your work, the value of what you bring, and have others in other departments really value that work and speak up on your behalf? And when that's happening, to me, that is when I feel most valued as a leader, and I bring that energy back to my team, and my team feels valued, right? And so when you bring that kind of energy back to the work you're doing, and the work then feels valued by your team, by the organization, there's just kind of this magic that happens across you, for you as a leader, for your team that's being led, them, as many of them are leaders in turn. And so there's something about sponsorship and the work being valued that I think is the transformational moment, especially in data. And I had one, and then there's the personal moments when a mentor or a sponsor will say to you, you know, that nugget, right, for leadership that also turns you on in the ways that Maritza was talking about how you can be a better leader one-on-one with your team. And I think that's also part of the journey of being a really great leader.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Harleen, how about yourself? Those helpful experiences that you've had along your journey to being a data analytics leader?
Well, I certainly try to lead by example. And, you know, I've been fortunate enough to have worked with some great female leaders who not only respect progression, but they actively encourage it. But I think, unfortunately, the reality is in the workplace, we may still encounter cases of gender bias or ignorance towards its existence. And it can be challenging to manage. But in my experience, it really helped me to gain confidence when I learned to be assertive enough to question decisions and share my views, even when they do differ to others in the room.
Yeah, I love that. And it's, as you say, leading by example. I think the more that we have amazing leaders that do all of the things we've discussed today, the more you can feel comfortable in doing the same, because you can simulate those actions for sure. Nirali, how about yourself?
So at the risk of repeating what everyone else has said, I'm going to try a few different things. One thing that I found really useful for me, so for those that who have sort of self-belief or a little bit of confidence concerns, and that's part of being that leader, is going to bed at night and sort of saying, what 3 things have you done well today? Right. I've done that for years now. I still do that just to remind myself that these are your successes, because I'm kind of the person that will reflect on all the things I could have done better versus the things that I have done well. And that was I was quite lucky to have a coach that coached me and sort of said, just do that every night, and it'll help you remember the good things. Because I think quite naturally we are a bit more prone to thinking that we're not good enough, and actually you need to kind of go to bed thinking that you are good enough. And that was one thing. And the other bit is just around just leadership, right? So what kind of, I've, like everyone else, I think on the call, has had some experience with some bad leaders and some good ones. And it always comes down to, what kind of leader do I want to be? And have I, set those 4 or 5 criteria in my head, and have I achieved those 4 or 5 things, or have I behaved in those ways, or have I lived up to my values? Because that keeps me then on the straight and narrow. And hopefully that's sort of a combination of what everyone else has said about, living by example and etc. But those are my sort of helpful tips that were given to me on my journey to get to where I've got to today.
Thank you, Nirali, for being so candid with that answer. And it's really interesting, actually, the mindfulness discussion that I've been having with leaders kind of off the record, alongside all the various other conversations I have, has been really kind of going up there. So practicing gratitude, and kind of leans into that general just being a happier and healthier human, alongside all of the rest that we've had to deal with over the last few years, at least with the COVID era. And it's certainly something that I think more leaders are starting to embrace now, this idea that there is the need for positive encouragement, there is a need for this type of discussion to be had at work, which is just a really great trend that I'm seeing as well. Now, in the comments, Susan's saying, I thank my team every week for their efforts, regardless of whether they win or lose. Absolutely love that. Thank you, Susan. And Jim writes in and says, wow, admitting that failure is an option acceptable as a learning event. This is tough for many women because the deck is already stacked. Bravo. So thank you, Jim, for that thought there. And it's very, very much part of something I know we've discussed before, and certainly part of this conversation as well, that it can feel like you've got a weight on your shoulders, especially in many organizations, if you are the first female leader in that space. So certainly a positive cultural change we want to be seeing for everyone. Ishita, how about yourself? What have been those positive, or perhaps just rather learning experiences that you've had that have been helpful to you in your growth?
So first and foremost, I have to say that I am in my current position because of the sponsorship of my predecessor, who was a man. And he recommended, when he was leaving eBay, he recommended me for this position. And I was the first female data leader in the company. And I remember when I found out that, and I thanked him, and he said, you were the best. You had the product knowledge. I'm giving you the engineering part as well. You will have product and engineering. And when I talk to the customers, they were very excited that you're going to take this over. So thank you to Suneet on this forum for that opportunity. And the second part, which has helped me, is kind of, I want to say, a bi-directional conversation with my customers. So when I look at my calendar every day I have a customer meeting, and this is my internal customers, because I provide platforms to the rest of eBay for them to help make decisions with data. So about 6 months ago, I started having the conversations. Are we doing enough with data? Somebody says data is the king, and I said, okay, data is a queen in this case, but are we really treating them as kings and queens and giving them a seat at the table? Uh, and once we started that, we started on this data culture transformation journey, and I kind of made it as if customers wanted it and as if it was their idea, and I'm just the enabler of that. And that conversation became so contagious that right now I have customers calling in and saying, hey, is my team running all the experiments? Are they measuring everything? Do we have data analytics behind everything? And that is music to my ears, because I have now made the customers hungry for the data insights and for uh, everything to be measured by data before making the decisions. So that was a big learning for me, that if you can get your customers excited about the possibilities of data, you can get the real culture change happen. And we are on the journey right now. Next time I come in, I'll say, I'll tell you how we are progressing.
Amazing, Ishita. Thank you so much. And there we go. There's a great example there of being the first female leader in your organization for data analytics. Now, the last question, and I'm looking at the time, knowing it's going to be running away from me for this, but just to expand the conversation, even perhaps beyond gender, if you would like to. Again, another question I get asked a lot is, what can we do better to encourage people from all backgrounds to join us in the data analytics community? It is still very much a topic for all of us, but for me, even looking to do my podcast and content, it's a case that I've got to be really conscious. It's not a case that it naturally happens that you get people from all backgrounds participating. And I know for all of you and your organizations, that will be the same story in terms of recruitment as well. So I wonder if you guys could share some top tips on what you are doing to encourage better diversity in your own communities, or perhaps something you've seen work quite well. Ishita, I'll stick with you for that one.
See, data is such a world where I always say you don't need to have a computer science degree or electrical engineering degree or a physics degree to come in. You can come in from all backgrounds, because we need folks who will actually do the plumbing, the data engineering. Yes, we need data engineers. We need folks who are going to build the tools, the software developers. We need folks who can analyze the data, who I call the data analysts. An analyst is a very important part of this data journey. And anybody with any background can come in and become a data analyst to ask the right questions, so that we are making sure that the right decisions are made on the questions asked. That's a very big part of our data platform organization. And then, of course, you have the product managers, you have the program managers, you have the data architects. So my ask is, no matter what background you have, it doesn't matter what degree or what you went to college to study with, if you're passionate about data, and if you're constantly asking yourself, what can I mine and get good insights from the data? I'm curious how I can take raw data and make it into, come and join the data group, because there is an opportunity for every one of you to make a very important contribution.
I love that, Ashita. Thank you so much. And I do think that there is something in this, that with the increased work that we're seeing in STEM and Girls That Code and all the various other organizations that are really awesome, kind of pushing people into the more kind of traditional data analytics space, but then also this acceptance that we need people from the business side, from various other areas. Together, if these two meet, hopefully we're going to see in a few years' time a bit of a solution to this current problem. So thank you, Ashita, for giving some thoughts towards that. Nirali, yourself, what's your thoughts here on encouraging people from all backgrounds to join our wonderful community?
It was actually quite funny, because this morning, unintentionally, I was listening to a podcast on this particular topic. And I haven't got an answer for you, first of all, Catherine, but they were debating, right, whether we should have networking type events or community type events that are tailored to certain backgrounds, so people feel comfortable to join it. Yeah, because I think traditionally, and I know we're like 5-6 women here on the call, but traditionally you went to a networking event or a conference around data, and it was predominantly sort of white British males. You wouldn't get very many women there. So there were debates. So this isn't the answer again, but they were debating. I thought it was quite a good way to get people to come in small groups to be comfortable with the concept of networking, because that's the first thing, isn't it? Speaking up, injecting into conversations that you're not comfortable with, and us six on this call can do it and have taken some time to get that confidence to do that, and then start bringing those people together in a wider a community. Whether that's the right thing or the wrong, I don't know, but it's about how do you make it comfortable for people to come and join your community and this data analytics community in whichever way they want to, from whatever background.
I love that debate. I've certainly been on many a calls where we've digressed down that road, and I think there's so many arguments for every side, right? And that's it's kind of one of the premises behind doing this monthly panel, is having that space where we elevate fantastic female voices, but also have almost a safe space for people to come and ask questions via the live stream to people that perhaps they've not seen grouped together before. So yeah, wonderful. Harleen, how about yourself?
I think it's really important to enable people from all different backgrounds to have an equal opportunity within the data and analytics industry, and create communities that, everyone has equal access into the industry. And as Nirali mentioned, people need to feel welcomed into it. And we need to create this nurturing environment. It's our responsibility to create that diverse environment that people want to be part of. I think there should be more responsibility placed on the organizations to actively seek ways of promoting opportunities more diversely and ensure that that route in is easily accessible for everyone. And I also think that as one of the fastest growing industries in the world right now, it's really essential for us to be really progressive and inclusive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the amount of conversations I'm involved in at the moment with the lack of talent, I don't think we can afford to be worried about who that talent comes from. In that sense, we've got to accept everybody and for everything they can give to us for certain. Thank you, Harleen. Joanne, how about yourself on this, encouraging people from all backgrounds into our community?
Well, first of all, I think it's an absolute data imperative. If you think about the world of AI and machine learning, we need various perspectives, a wide range of perspectives to get AI and machine learning right, to minimize data bias in how we actually think about the type of data that we're using, the sources of data, to minimize data bias in our data sets, as well as how we're creating our algorithmic outputs, right? So if we don't have an inclusive workforce, we're actually going to be designing the wrong things for the future. So that's the first thing. Second of all, I think we have to build a pipeline of talent. I think many of our organizations are really thinking about this and making sure that we are actually recruiting diverse individuals into our organizations, working with a wide range of organizations and universities, all the way down into what we call in the US high schools, right, to actually work on the curriculums needed so that we actually excite young people into the areas of technology and data. But I'm going to go back to Ishita's answer and say that we need people from all different skills, because data is becoming part and parcel a skill set that we see lawyers needing, right? We see HR professionals needing. We see a wide range of individuals using data in all sorts of professional areas of companies and firms. And so I would say, don't think of data as just data science, which we do need people in data science. We need data engineers. We need data analysts. We need data designers. We need people in data management and data governance, but we also need privacy lawyers, right? We need data policy experts. We need people to do the hiring, right, in HR. We need people in finance to help us figure out how to make sure that we're valuing all of this and the impact that and the enablement that data brings to all of our organizations. So there's so many ways, right, that I think we can bring talent into our organizations, and ways that we can engage different types of disciplines from data, but I think it's open to so many different types of individuals. Women and people from diverse backgrounds have to be part of this conversation because we want to design the data future in a way that's inclusive for everybody. So this is a topic that I really, really think is so important as a data professional, because we want our solutions to reflect the society that we all live in and actually are designing for the future. So I can go on for hours on this one. This one's one of my favorite topics to actually solution for.
I'm always ambitious by setting us 30 minutes, and we're overrunning, but you know what, we'll go with it. Just to combine both those areas, actually, Joanne, I don't know if this is something you're seeing as well, but the education element and the ethics element, I'm seeing more and more children's books and kind of books for high schoolers as well, aimed at educating around data uses, ethics and stuff, which I think is a really awesome trend.
I do too.
To combine both of those things, and I'm sure I'll go back after we finish the live and try and find some links to drop them in the comments, because there's some really cool resources out there now, which is awesome. Mina, how about yourself, encouraging people from all backgrounds into our community?
Well, I like what's already been said, and I especially like Nirali's example, or the what you shared about the kind of feeling confident. So having that community or people around you who you can relate to, and maybe related to that, I think first of all we need to also focus on the language. So stop using the acronyms and the tech talk that we tend to like to talk a lot, and start using more common terminology and vocabulary, so that way everybody can feel that they understand and can participate in the discussions. And then starting to make empathy and diverse viewpoints more like must-haves in the fields of data development, rather than something that is kind of on the paper nice to have, but in practice you end up kind of repeating the same patterns and same thinking over and over again. So having an open mind for different views of approaching things and topics, and having that like something to value and must have, rather than something that is not really existing in the real world.
Absolutely love that, Mina, and I think it speaks widely to the culture of an organization as well. I know I've heard of stories where they've integrated someone perhaps who is a bit different to the status quo for whatever reason that is into their organization, and then they've subsequently left after a couple months because they didn't fit in. It's like, well, that was the point. They were meant to bring in a different perspective, and they challenged some ideas, whatever those may be. And I think it speaks to that wider culture. As you say, there's a big difference between kind of a checkbox activity of what we're doing versus the really getting into it and understanding the processes behind that as well. Maritza, round us out for this discussion for March 2022 about what you've seen to better encourage people from all backgrounds.
I'm going to add on to what Ishita and Joanne said around democratizing careers in your data office. So for the past 2 years, we've been doing 6-month secondments into the data office from various areas in the business. And it's been incredibly successful. And I would say about 90% of our secondees actually stay in the data office. They don't go back into the business. And they combine their business knowledge with the technical skills that we can teach them in their secondment. And it's just been so valuable. And then the other thing we've done this year is we've got 3 data culture committees, because driving a data culture is hard work. You need people to do that. And we've opened it up, and it's amazing that we actually got people from the business as well as IT security, all from everywhere in the business. We got people who volunteered to be on these data culture committees. So, we basically, at this point, no one at RCS is safe from the data office. If you can contribute, we will contact you and you will contribute.
I love that has to be the mic drop moment of the panel discussion here, Maritza. So nobody is safe. You will find yourself into data analytics some way. Well, Amazing. Well, thank you all for joining me. And again, thank you for your continued support over the months. I know people regularly tune in, and I do always get messages after these sessions saying they've enjoyed them. So thank you for your continued support. Just by being here, elevating your own voice, you are really providing something rather wonderful for our data analytics community. And I'm very excited about what is to come. Now, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have today. Things do always run so close to time, and we have overrun, but that is all we can do today. But please do be sure to subscribe to the Business of Data to keep up to date with all of the wonderful content that we produce. And also on the Corinium events side, next week we will be in London for 3 in-person events. We have our Chief Data Analytics Officer UK event, our Chief Information Security Officer event, and also a Reg Tech in AI event as well. So if you'd like to attend any of those 3, please do pop a message across to myself or the team. You'll see them in the comments section as well. But as always, please stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.